Hey guys, I'm Ellie and welcome back to my channel. You guys know, it's about to be your most anticipated video. For some reason, these are in my top most watched videos every year. This video you guys just love, and that is just my most disappointing and shittiest reads. I don't understand. Why do people love this stuff so much? Why you all about the negativity? I get it, because it's sass. It's the sass, ain't it? That's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. First I'm going to talk about my most disappointing, and then I'm going to get into my top 3 worst reads. Here we go, I guess. Let's talk about one that I thought was going to be super, super cute, and that's Airports, Exes, and Other Things I'm Over. This seemed like it was going to be such a cute read. It's about this girl that gets stuck in an airport and basically has to, like, face her feelings for someone. However, I did not know that these feelings were going to be about an ex-boyfriend that cheated on her. Yep. Extra yep. First of all, she is like a high school student. There's like this weird thing happening where basically favorite band, or she's in a band, I don't even remember. And then there's this weird setup where she decides to go to Florida for spring break, and she's supposed to go with her boyfriend, but she cuts in cheating on her, and he's all like, you don't understand. And it's like, you locking lips with some girl and you ain't pushing her away, so that's all I gotta say. Anyway, so she decides to go on spring break to Florida to visit her grandma all by herself, and she gets down there and she meets this really like silly, fun guy kind of deal, and you think there's gonna be a spark there. There ain't. Set up like they do a whole lot of nothing. There's a good amount of describing the whole lot of nothing that happens during the spring break week, and then basically she goes to the airport, and that's where she like runs into her ex-boyfriend as well as this new guy kind of deal, and they're stuck there together, and just the weird things that are going on there. It's not even a love triangle. I don't really know what's going on here. It's just her trying to deal with her stupid boyfriend. He's like kissing her ass, obviously. But it just annoyed me because I believe she's in high school, and it's just too young to stick with someone that really isn't worth it. If you're in high school, I have the true belief that if someone messes up once, this should be about all they get, because your life hasn't really started yet, honestly. And there's just so many other people out there, too many fish in the sea to be worried about one jackass. So, I was very disappointed in this. The shenanigans that they got into weren't even all that crazy. It doesn't even take place necessarily in the airport, because then they have like a car road trip after that. Like, none of it really came together. It just wasn't done very well. It just wasn't very good. I just don't care. She should have left his ass dumped. I guess that's a spoiler, but you know. You should have known how it ends. It's a YA contemporary. Then we have A Court of Frost and Starlight. Don't get me wrong, I didn't rate this book low. It just wasn't really needed. Did we need this book? I don't really think so. It was basically a fan fiction in the Court of something something world, and I love that world. I do, and I love the characters, but this was just a lot of like banging and presents and some weird friend hangouts and not really knowing what to do with Nesta. That's basically all it is. All I wanted was a story about Cassian and Nesta. Apparently this is supposed to set us up for the next series, but I don't really know how, because it's still only focused on the characters from the first series. So I don't know if the next one is just going to take place from the point of view of Nesta. I would like that. I would like just her and Cassian. That would be great. That's what this book should have been about. Otherwise, I didn't need it. I would have rather just not had it and just waited an extra year for the book to come out. I didn't need any of it. None of it added to the storyline. It basically just showed me like a weirder side of all the characters. Like, I want bickering and banter, and I want people to have this tension, and at this point it's gone. So I kind of lost the interest of the main part of the series that I enjoyed so much. So I'm sad that this book is in existence. And I love that world. But this book just, it didn't do anything for me. Next, we have The Wicked Girls, and this is a mystery thriller type thing. It is about these two girls at a young age, like they are kids. They basically are convicted of killing another girl quite brutally. So they are sent to these like kids prisons. They're not really juvie. I don't really know what they are. But they're sent to like these correctional institutes, and they haven't seen each other since they basically like murdered this girl together. And then it follows in the future, it is about these two women. Obviously you know that these women are these kids, but you don't know who's who because they have since changed their names. I don't really know why that matters to the storyline because they both did the crime. So at that point I was like, I don't really care which one of you is who and why that matters, like, whatever. But one works at this carnival and she's kind of like a cleaner, and the other one is a reporter, and basically they end up running into each other and they're terrified that people are going to find out who they are because these murders have been happening around the carnival, and they're afraid like something is going to spark interest in them and people are going to find out who they are and what has happened. For having such an interesting premise, this is like the world's most boring book. I don't understand. They literally, like, you got death, you got kids killing kids, you got, like, there's, like, an ex-con man kind of thing, you got, like, people getting killed in the carnival, and you could tell me, basically, about the one woman's dogs for, like, 10 pages. I don't really care. Why did she need the dogs? It doesn't make any sense. It wasn't even a short book, so that's what makes this even worse. Nothing happens. It's just them being worried over a whole lot of nothing for quite some time. I don't know why it matters if they see each other. I think there was like some sort of law that they're not allowed to be seen together or something anymore after that. But it's not like they were even involved in these murders. Like, you obviously know that it's someone else doing these murders. And it just, like, in the end, it just doesn't add up. Like, the end was supposed to be shocking and surprising, but honestly, like, at that point, I was done. I didn't care what happened. If you would have had the beginning, like, one small section of the middle, and just the end, it would have been a great book. But there was all this nonsense in between. It was so dragged out. Like, it wasn't very good, and I was so disappointed because I thought for sure this was going to be like one of my favorites. I love anything that takes place at like a carnival fairground type of thing, and I love these type of thrillers, but it was not done well. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. What else do we got? Then we're going to talk about, this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I did not like Moonstruck. And I know a lot of people like this because it has like fat, lesbian, and good rep in it. The problem is the storyline was so dumb. It was so dumb. The main character too, I did not like because she was jealous and she was kind of irrational, and she kind of just would act out based on these feelings even though she never told this other person really how she felt, and it was just... she was annoying. She was immature, and I just wanted to just kind of slap her and be like, girl, you need some talking some sense into because you acting stupid right now. I really honestly can barely even remember what this is about. It was so uninteresting. And it's like these animal people type forms, and they go to this magic show, and at this magic show, like, the magician like steals some part of like their magic and such, and so they go on a hunt to like find him and capture him and get like this magic back for their friend. But it was just, there was this weird romance trying to be played out, and I honestly, like, they just weren't working. They were on like 2 different pages that were nowhere close to each other, and the main character was just annoying. She was acting childish, and the other one was just like oblivious to things, and she was just trying to get stuff done, and the other one was just like only worried about herself, and I didn't really care for it. The artwork was interesting. It wasn't like my favorite artwork of all time either. It just overall just wasn't a very interesting graphic novel in my opinion. I probably won't be continuing on. At first I thought maybe like it might get better later on, but overall I didn't really care for it. Next we have Elevation. This is a book that you guys haven't seen me mention in a wrap-up yet because it's for a video that I'm doing that will be coming to you soon. But Elevation by Stephen King has to go up there and disappoint me because it's marketed as horror, and it's not horror, which is okay because a young girl don't like horror. I don't like being scared. The problem with this is that it was just so bland for Stephen King. And I have not read a lot of Stephen King, my friends, but when I hear Stephen King, like, he is a legend. He is known for writing these crazy books. He's known for writing things that are unlike anything else. In a way, I guess this book was unlike most things, but it was just boring. It's about this guy who finds out that basically he is losing gravity weight, basically. He's not actually changing physically, but he's losing the weight that keeps him to the ground. And it is about how is like the countdown of him losing this, and basically they're not really sure what's going to happen, but they're pretty sure he's gonna like float into the air. He's only told, this is more about the conflicts that he has like with the community and it's based around his neighbors who are lesbians. And basically they have started this restaurant and it's not doing so well because people in the town they're homophobic. So this is him kind of wanting to get on their good side because they don't really like him. He's kind of an asshole to them. An intentional asshole, but he really wants to make it up to him, and he ends up competing in this race. And just overall, it was so boring. I didn't care. Like, they became friends and it's supposed to be touching at the end, and just overall I was just like, it's whatever. It's whatever. Like, the premise is kind of neat. The fact that he's like might float away someday, but at the same time it was just like only like 2 of these characters have a personality that I really kind of see, and the rest of it was just kind of like small town dumb stuff and him like waiting for his life to float away and become elevated. But overall it wasn't the Stephen King that I felt like I was expecting. I didn't even think the writing was all that good. No one killed me. I think it was just disappointing because I was expecting so much more from Stephen King, and this just felt like it was like, oh, I need to put a book out there, let's throw this book out there that I sort of kind of write on a napkin once upon a time. Like, I don't know, it was almost like a story that never really should have seen the light of day kind of deal. Like one of those ones that you write in a notebook and then never go back to again. That just felt like one of those things, like someone tore it out and they were like, Steven, we're going to publish this, and then it happened like that. I guess if I'm going to talk about anything, I'll talk about Shatter Me. Because Shatter Me has been and still is being so totally hyped up. It was like the most rated book on Goodreads that I read this year. So many people love it. I see so many people who are like, Juliet and Warner, oh my god, I'm trash. And I was like, I want to be Juliet and Warner trash. Sign me up. So I read the first one. I'll read Shatter Me, which is about a girl. It takes place in a dystopian. She can't touch people because she'll kill them with her touch. And people want her as a weapon. She's locked away. Another prisoner is put in there. She finds out she can touch him. There's a rebel group. Things happen. Sounds interesting. Sounds like a classic early 2000s dystopian YA novel, which I expect. I don't really understand the hype around it because it was a pretty mediocre story, in my opinion. Kind of saw what was coming. There is a love triangle that is building, and in my opinion, I don't understand where any of you like Warner from. Because Warner is literally the most disgusting person I have ever read in a book. I don't understand how we were ever supposed to forgive him. He literally puts Juliet in like the most uncomfortable situations. He basically tortures her. He has hinted several times that he basically wants to have sex with her, even though she is very much not interested, has sexually harassed her. I don't really understand. Does he really make up for this somewhere? I don't know if I could ever forgive anyone for doing those things to me, no matter what they did. They could shit out a golden egg and bring it to me, and it could be filled with all the candy, all the makeup, all the books in the world, and I still wouldn't forgive them for those things that they had done. So, what? And also, he's like out to destroy the world. Am I wrong? Did I miss something? Is there a different Warner at some point? Like, I don't get it. I understand that a lot of people don't see why we forgive Reese in A Court of Mist and Fury, but after rereading the series, I can see that. I can't ever see how this would ever change for me, that I would ever like Warner, because the things that he did I felt were so much worse. I missed something somewhere, and y'all ain't let me in on the secret, apparently. So that's definitely going most disappointing. The story was just kind of blah. But the biggest thing is I just did not understand the hype. I don't get it. I don't really want to continue on. I literally dragged myself through the hell of it the first time, so it's just not happening. I will never know the hype that is Warner. I won't understand. Okay, let's talk about my top 3 worst books of the year. Let's start off with, I feel really bad because a lot of these are kind of own voices. But own voices doesn't make a book great. Don't want anyone to think that I am like dissing on the fact that these are own voices, that I am racist or homophobic for disliking these books. It's just that these books were not good. I know someone's still gonna come at me though. I really can't decide because it's honestly between Miles Morales and Binti. But I think the most disappointing and shittiest for me was Binti. And that's just because this book is so hyped. There's so much hype around this book, and it is a sci-fi, which again really isn't my thing, so maybe that's why I really don't enjoy it. It's a relatively short book. I think it's less, it's about 200 pages, and it's just not good, my friends. It's not good. So it's about a girl. Basically her people don't believe in going to space and learning things, but she wants to go to this planet to study at this prestigious, I can never say it, university. And so she leaves her family, doesn't tell them, and she decides to go. Well, on this trip, this other alien group basically attacks their ship, and for some reason she is the only one who can communicate with them, and they kind of like take her as an ambassador or something. Don't get a lot of details in this book. Nothing is set up properly. Like, I feel like I missed so much. I was placed into this world that I felt like I should have already known about, but I knew nothing about this world. Nothing is explained. Like, the dumbest parts of the stories are the things that they talk about the most. I don't know, she apparently had these great friendships, but I don't know about any of them because they literally mention their name and they don't tell us anything else that they do with each other. There's no build up. The world is just not described. When we try to describe these other alien forms, I literally can't see them. They look like blobs with tentacles in my mind, which is like, how uncreative is that? And I don't know if that's on my part or if that's on their part, but it wasn't described well. The events just weren't that exciting. We spent a lot of time on like whether or not we're gonna shit in a pot or vomit in a pot. Like, I just was like, why is this the thing that you want to focus on here? I know there's a lot of Benti lovers out there, but this just was not for me. It wasn't done well enough for me to even enjoy. I felt like I was in like a clusterfuck of a story the whole time that just wasn't put together. So, I'm sorry, but it's up there in books that I just did not like. I think I gave it a 2-star, and that was like being generous. So then the other two are actually by the same author, and I've realized at this point that that probably means that the author just isn't for me. But it took 2 books to really realize that, and the one is What If It's Us. I read an arc of this, and I thought it was going to be really cute. It's basically about like dating and what if you do date, what if you don't date, what happens, and things like that. I like the concept of that. I like the idea of not dating someone. I don't like the idea of multiple dates and things like that, because I feel like in so many YAs they meet one person that's their soulmate like forever and ever, and it's just like, that's not realistic. Characters were either so underwhelming or so over the top, I could not connect with them. It's about a boy who, what is his name? I can't even remember the name. I remember Ben. I liked Ben. Ben was like the most mediocre character out of all of them. There's Ben, and I don't remember the other one's name, but basically Ben is taking a box of his ex-boyfriend stuff to like ship back to him, and then the other boy runs in and is like, oh my god, this boy is beautiful and I really enjoy him, but Ben escapes, and we spend a good amount of time of the other boy trying to decide whether or not he's going to reach out to try to find Ben, and he ends up putting like flyers up over town and trying to find him, and Craigslist ad and things like that. So then they finally meet and they go on a date, and it doesn't go well. So then they go on another date, and it doesn't go well. So then they go on another date. And you know what happens? It doesn't go well. So I think at this point it's time to say bye and move on. What if it's us? Well, apparently it's not, so move along. Thank you, next. Ben and whatever his name is have such different personalities. There is absolutely no chemistry between the two of them. Absolutely none. The side characters outshine the main characters in this. I was way more invested in their lives than I ever was Ben and whatever his name is. I was just so frustrated that this just kept happening. Like, they just refused to acknowledge the fact that they were not good together. And then at the end, the authors, because this is by 2 authors, kind of forced them together. And it just wasn't working. There was no build-up. There was no tension. There was just nothing between them. And I didn't enjoy that. I don't want to read about something where people are basically just kind of sticking together just cuz. My camera has died for the 2nd time while trying to film this. I don't even remember where I was at. It's been so long. I went and got food. I got this water. Oh dear God, this is awful. This is going on my top 3 worst drinks of the year. Oh, I literally don't remember where I left off at, but basically I just wanted to let you all know that I hated What If It's Us. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the shittiest book of the year for me. And that is History Is All You Left Me, or something along the lines of that. You know how long it's been since I have hated a character so much, like very enraged by a character, like really just all of me hates this character. It has been since I read Gone Girl that I've hated a character so much, which also made it my top 3 shittiest reads one year. You don't want to be compared to Gone Girl for me. You just don't. History Is All You Left Me is about this boy, and basically his boyfriend dies, and he's like mad at it's his ex-boyfriend actually. He's mad at his ex-boyfriend for dying. I don't even remember the full premise of this book. It's just basically him looking back on the moments that him and his ex-boyfriend had together, and like how they met and basically how they fell apart, and he is so bitter about this, and he's so bitter about this person's death. It just, he's such a shitty person. He is such a shit person. He just like yells at people. He's so angry at his ex for dying, and it's like it really wasn't his fault, obviously. He is just so pissy at like everyone. He's so jealous. There is nothing redeeming about this character at all. He is literally the boring part of the relationship, and then is upset that he was the one broken up with. Nothing in this is funny, nothing in this is quirky. Like, I didn't think that they made a good match, but the main character is just such a shit person. I just could not believe that someone wrote this character and thought that he was like a decent character that someone wanted to be in a relationship with, because he's not. He's boring and he's an asshole. Who wants to be with that? Not me. That was my biggest complaint. I literally cannot tell you how this ended. I don't remember half the parts in between. I just remember how terrible this character was and how he's constantly blaming other people for like his problems. He never takes the blame for things. He literally just like thinks his life is the worst and tries to push that off on other people, and just like it put me in a negative space. I was in like a reading slump after that. I just didn't want to read anymore because I was like, this character literally has put me in the worst slump. Like, it just was not good. I even tried to listen to the audiobook, and the audiobook wasn't good. Like, there was nothing good about it. Like, I didn't care about the relationship. I wished that his ex-boyfriend would have got away from him sooner. Like, he literally, like, I believe he, like, cheats on him, too. So, on top, like, he's just, like, he leads people on. He cheats on them, if I remember correctly. He literally plays with people's emotions. Like, this person is just such a shit person. He's right up there with the girl from Gone Girl. They're both pretty shit people, so I don't even remember his name. Andrew, Andy, Calvin, I don't know. Some basic name I don't care about. I'm gonna endure this water. That was the worst book that I read all year. I don't even know if I gave it 1 star. Like, there was just nothing redeeming about it for me at all. Terrible storyline, terrible characters, don't care. So, unpopular opinion, Adam Silvera is not for me. I'm also starting to realize that Becky Albertalli, I think that's her name, is also not for me. Nothing against the authors. I follow them on social media. I think they're fantastic people. These books just weren't for me. They weren't good to me. They're good for you, that's good, but I missed out on something somewhere. I don't know. So those were my shittiest reads for the year. I hope you guys have liked this video. It's, yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to see future videos from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!